One of the reasons why millions of people tune in every night to watch NBA basketball is that you never know what you're gonna see next. Or do you? For all the surprising and memorable moments, there have also been moments when things repeat themselves, sometimes eerily. Keep watching to find out about some of the spookiest deja vu moments that have happened in the NBA. Dunks. LeBron James has been in the NBA for almost 20 years, and he's been the best player for pretty much that entire time. He scored over 35,000 points and made close to 13,000 shots. It shouldn't be surprising that at some point, some of those shots would look similar just by coincidence. However, there have been times in LeBron's career where he has recreated a play so accurately that it blows people's minds. Some of these go above and beyond what you'd expect to be possible, like the time he did the same windmill dunk twice in Phoenix. The first time this happened was in 2013 while LeBron was with the Heat. The play in question has several details worth paying attention to. First, LeBron steals the ball around the top of the key and runs for a fast break. Second, he curves off to the left, then launches off one foot as he flies toward the hoop at a slight angle. Third, he does a counterclockwise windmill and dunks with his right hand, then curves back around to the right and runs back on defense. Fourth, this takes place in a game against the Phoenix Suns in the Talking Stick Resort Arena. Now watch what happened several years later when LeBron was with the Cavs.
He kept going. LeBron James in a steal. No one will come near it.
Notice that each of the four details from the dunk years prior are repeated. LeBron again steals the ball at the top of the key and launches it into an uncontested fast break. He again veers to the left and leaps off one foot toward the rim. And again, he does a counterclockwise windmill that he finishes with his right hand. He also lands and turns back around in almost exactly the same way, and of course, it happens in the same arena. Despite being several years apart and during very different periods of LeBron's career, two plays are so similar that you can watch them side by side and it's hard to tell which is which. This isn't the only time LeBron has done this either. A similar event happened in the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Around the same time as his first dunk in Phoenix, LeBron and the Heat dropped a major highlight on the Lakers. Once again, let's look at some details. Dwayne Wade lobbed the ball off the backcourt. LeBron, who was running a few paces behind Wade, caught the ball with his left hand and dunked it into the left side of the basket. LeBron also kicked his legs out as to emphasize the slam. This is a very distinctive dunk that very few people on the planet could even do. What's downright bizarre is the fact that LeBron did the same dunk in the same arena some years later. Once again, this happened after James had rejoined the Cavs. This meant that, instead of D Wade, LeBron took the lob from J.R. Smith. Smith came at the basket from the opposite side that Wade did, but other than that, the play is basically the exact same. The lob comes off the backboard into LeBron's left hand, and he dunks it into the left side of the basket. He also kicks his legs for emphasis like he did in the earlier highlight. Like I said, for a guy who's made almost 13,000 shots, it's not a total surprise that he's done the same play more than once. But to do these very unusual plays so similarly and in the same arenas both times is just weird. Crazy as it is, LeBron is still going strong despite his nearly 20-year career, so we may see even more deja vu moments from him in the future, or would they be in the past? I don't know. Anyway, LeBron isn't the only person to do the same dunk in the same arena more than once. In fact, J.R. Smith, who played a vital role in one of LeBron's deja vu dunks, also had a crazy deja vu dunk of his own. Both dunks happened in Madison Square Garden. What's funny is, JR was playing for the Knicks the first time, but he was playing against the Knicks the second time. Similarly to LeBron, the dunk in question is one that very few people could do. It's even possible that JR is the only person on the planet who could do it once, let alone twice. The dunk features JR catching the lob down low, down by his midsection, then hoisting it up and doing a reverse two-hand slam. It ends up looking like a double clutch dunk, but as hard as those are, this is even harder. The first time JR did this, the New York home crowd went crazy. You could forgive them all for thinking they just witnessed something special that would never be seen again. Yet somehow, it would be seen again. By them. A few years later, JR was back in the Garden with a new uniform. Much to the crowd's dislike, he recreated his unique jam from before, only this time at New York's expense. The dunks were nearly identical, but the reactions from the crowd couldn't have been more different.
I think eventually that's what he wants to do. Oh, beautiful pass. The two former Knicks connect, Shumpert and J.R. Smith.
New York City's famously die-hard fan base was none too pleased to see the other side of this incredible play. It's hard not to wonder if there were any fans there who didn't realize it was the same guy. The fact that deja vu moments like this exist is pretty crazy, but it's nowhere near as crazy as some of the moments we're about to talk about. Game winners. Doing the same dunk twice is pretty unlikely, but dunks also happen pretty often during NBA games. There have been multiple games in LeBron's career where he dunked the ball 7 times. Compare that with the act of making a game-winning shot in the final seconds. All players dream of doing it, but most never do it even once. Those who do are lucky to do it more than a couple times, and during the course of an NBA season, we may only see a few game-winning shots all year. That's why, when the same game-winning shot happens on 2 separate occasions, it's one of the absolute craziest deja vu moments that can ever happen. Yet, believe it or not, this has happened a number of times. Let's look at some of the most unlikely examples, starting with the Portland Trail Blazers and the Houston Rockets. In 2008, the Rockets were in Portland up by 1 with less than a second to go in overtime. All they had to do was stop Portland from getting a good look at the basket, but somehow they failed. Brandon Roy snatched the inbounds pass, hoisted up a deep 3 from the bottom left wing, and swished it right on Houston's head. The game winner was so epic that it lived on in Blazers fan lore for years. That is, until it was basically recreated perfectly by Damian Lillard in 2014. Once again, the Houston Rockets were in Portland. Only this time, they were fighting for their entire season. It was Game 6 of the first round of the playoffs, and the Trailblazers were just 1 win away from sending the Rockets back to Houston empty-handed. On the other hand, Houston was up 2, and just like years earlier, there was just under 1 second left to play. The challenge was again the same. Just stop Portland from getting a good look at the basket. Success would mean Game 7, but failure would end it all. Amazingly, not only did Houston fail again, they allowed almost the exact same sequence of events to happen all over again. Damian Lillard broke free and was able to snag the inbounds in the same spot on the floor Brandon Roy had. He chucked up basically the same Hail Mary shot, and once again, it swished right on the still sore heads of the Houston Rockets. One major difference between these 2 plays is that Brandon Roy was nowhere near as good a 3-point shooter as Damian Lillard. On one hand, that makes Roy's game winner even more amazing, but on the other hand, it makes Houston's failure to stop Roy from shooting more understandable. Why, after it had happened to them before, did the Rockets allow Damian Lillard, one of the greatest 3-point shooters in the game, to get a shot off? I'm sure every basketball fan in Houston was wondering the same thing. This is one of the greatest game winners in NBA history. It sent Portland to the second round of the playoffs for the first time in well over a decade in dramatic fashion. It's even more amazing when you realize it is an eerie copy of another game winner that had taken place not long ago in the same building. This isn't the only time a game winner had repeated itself. It isn't even the craziest example. The reason I said Damian Lillard's shot to beat Houston is just one of the greatest game winners is because this next one is probably the greatest game-winning shot in NBA history. Unless you live under a rock, you'll probably know all about it. Kawhi Leonard in Game 7 against the 76ers ends the series with a shot that would be too cheesy for a Disney movie script. This shot would have been unbelievable no matter what situation it happened in. The fact that it happened as a buzzer beater in the 4th quarter to win Game 7 against a team that many thought would beat Toronto makes it iconic. Toronto went on to win their first and only NBA championship after this, which, when you watch that ball just bounce around the rim, is insane to think about. But what's even more insane to think about is the fact that Kawhi Leonard had actually done this once before. As ridiculous as it sounds, he made a game-winning shot just a couple months earlier that was almost identical. It happened in the same arena during another game where the score was also tied in the final seconds. Kawhi ran to the same spot on the same court and threw up the same basic shot. This alone would be a weird coincidence, since the 2 shots happened just months apart. What sets it apart as one of the weirdest deja vu moments ever is the fact that the ball bounced around the rim in a very similar way as well. Kawhi even does the same leaning motion as he's watching the shot from behind the background. This takes the moment from unlikely to bizarre. You can shoot a ball 100 times from the same spot and it wouldn't do that distinctive pop-up and in motion. Kawhi Leonard did it twice to win a game in the same arena during the same 3-month period. If that's not a deja vu moment, then what is? But the list of deja vu game winners doesn't stop there. In fact, around the same time, a deja vu game winner happened at an even higher level of competition, the NBA Finals. In 2017, Kevin Durant appeared for the second time in the NBA Finals and for the first time as a Warrior. The Warriors had both of the first 2 games at home before hitting the road to play Game 3 in Cleveland. Game 3 turned out to be a closer contest than the previous 2 games. With less than a minute to go, Durant sealed the game with a dagger 3-pointer. He shot it from deep behind the left wing over multiple defenders. The shot was devastating for Cleveland, who at the time were defending champions. It solidified a 3-0 lead for the Warriors, and just days later, the whole series was over. But that was only the beginning of the pain for the Cavs. The following year, the 2 teams met in the finals again for the record 4th year in a row. once again, the Warriors won their first 2 games at home. Game 3 was held in Cleveland. Many fans are feeling a strong sense of deja vu already, and that was before Durant did the unthinkable. With uncanny similarities to just 1 year earlier, Durant pulled up for a deep 3 from the left wing with just under a minute to play. Once again, he drills it over multiple defenders and stuck the dagger in the Cavs for the second time. All things considered, this was probably the greatest deja vu moment in NBA history. It was so unbelievable, and many of the players were dumbfounded in their post-game interviews. Draymond Green actually said it was deja vu.
Man, I was just like it, deja vu.
LeBron, clearly grumpy, told reporters after the game that it wasn't exactly the same as last year, but then he admitted that the difference was, this time, KD shot from a few feet further back. Durant himself insisted that this was different from the year before. Few were convinced, however. The deja vu factor with this shot has many layers. It's not just one moment repeating itself, it's an entire situation. The same teams, in the same game of the finals, in the same building, with the same close finish, and the same guy winning the game from the same place on the court and producing the same result. It's so similar, it's confusing. The Warriors went on to win the NBA Finals for the second straight year, and Kevin Durant was once again crowned Finals MVP. This simply cemented the moment's legacy as perhaps the strongest case of deja vu basketball fans have ever gotten. We hope you enjoy learning about the weirdest moments of deja vu in NBA history. Which moment do you think is the weirdest? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and be sure to give us a like if you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any great content like this. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.